Welcome back to Red Hawk Media. Today we continue on with Flash, and we're moving on to the next basic step. In our first tutorial, we talked about frame-by-frame animation, and that took us into our timeline and our layer palette here, and taught us how each of the individual frames interact with each other, how we can onion skin images and move them around. Now, that was a lot of work to actually frame by frame move things around the palette, or around the canvas rather. So now we're going to actually use what's called a tween. A tween does a lot of the animation for you between one spot and another. That's the idea of it. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to start with just a basic shape, and we're going to get that moving around. So I'm going to come over to my tools on the side here, and under the rectangular tool, I'm going to go ahead and switch it over to the oval tool. And I'm just going to switch my settings here, so I've got a different fill color. Let's go with a nice green, and that looks pretty good. So here's what we have. I'm going to hold shift. It'll give me a nice round object actually here, and I've got my ball here. Now I'm going to animate this as if it's bouncing around the screen, touching the edges, moving around every which way. Right now this is actually comprised of two different objects. We've got a fill area, we've got a stroke weight around the outside of it. In fact, if I grab the selection tool, I can go ahead and separate these two items if I wanted to. So that's not going to be very useful to us right now. I have to get these so that they are working in conjunction with each other. So the best way I can do that is I grab my selection tool, and I'm going to select this whole area here so that it's all selected. And then I'm going to left click on the item, and I'm going to convert it to a symbol. Now there's a lot of different symbol types that we're going to be using. The one that we're going to start with is actually just a graphic. Okay, it's got no animation to it, but it groups everything together, and it knows that we want to work with it as a one grouped object. We're just going to call this symbol 1 circle. Let's retype that. There we go. And I click OK. Alright, now everything is grouped together, and I got a slightly different selection box around here. This blue box is telling me that now it's a graphic, it's been converted to a symbol, and that allows me to do a few different things with it. I can still do frame by frame animation with it, but why do that when I can do the tweening? So I'm going to go ahead and grab it. Now you can see everything moves together as one complete unit. So I'm going to go ahead and start the circle against the canvas over here. We'll just butt it up against the two edges. Okay. Now, this is frame 1. This is my first keyframe. Keyframe, remember, is just a starting point or a stopping point for anything. It initiates or it stops any kind of action that's going on. Now, I'm going to create another keyframe. Now, it's not going to be right next door like we did before. We're not going to duplicate this frame like we did in the previous process. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out to like frame 15, and there's no exact number on this, but you should know more frames means that it's going to take it longer to get to where it wants to go. Less frames, it's going to get there a lot quicker. So I'm going to go to frame 15 just to try that, and I'm going to right click in there. Okay. I got a bunch of different options. I can insert frames, but what I really want to do is I want to insert a keyframe. Okay. Now you can see I've got my two keyframes, and it's all filled in between the two of them here with blank keys. Okay. At this point, I want to actually get it to where it's going to be on the stop position. So that first keyframe is where the ball is right now. Key 15 is where the ball is going to end up. So I'm going to go ahead and drag that. Now the ball will move precisely in a straight line. So just keep that in mind. It won't go on curves or anything like that. So even if I drag it and go like this in an S, it won't matter. It's going to go in at a perfectly straight line to that point. So I'm going to go ahead and drag it there for frame 15. Now, I'm going to go down below again here to our layer palette and look at the timeline. I've got keyframe 1, the starting position, and the stopping position. And what I'm going to do is create what's called a classic tween. It's one of the 3 tweens that we'll be working with here. Alright, and I'm going to create classic tween. That's going to change the whole look of everything on my timeline. Everything turns a light shade of lavender here, and now I've got this arrow that's actually dropped in here, indicating that there's an action going on from frame 1 to frame 15. If I go ahead and play this through, you can see what it looks like. I hit enter, and it plays through. You can see it ends up right at the stop point here, and it animated everything in between. So instead of doing a frame-by-frame animation, it smoothly transitions from one thing to another. Now, I was talking about speed of movement here. I want to kind of demonstrate how if I add a few more keys on here, it's going to move a lot slower. So let's go up to frame 50. Let's add in another keyframe. Now we're at frame 50, which is going to be the stopping point for this. Let's go ahead and have this bounce up, and we're going to have it bounce right into the corner here. Okay? Now, I'm going to come back down below again, go to any one of the keyframes, and I'm going to create the classic tween. Okay? So now if we play this all the way through here, from start to finish, we've got it bounce, and then it heads up into the corner. Okay? And you can see that time around, I indicated a lot more frames for it to take to get there. It slowed it up a lot. So if I want to dictate the speed of different objects on the screen and how fast they move, that's one of the techniques I can use. Okay? What I'd like you to do today for our little project that we're doing and practicing our skills is get about 4 layers into your project here, and get 4 different things moving. Okay, it doesn't matter how they move or where they move to or how they work in conjunction with each other. They can be completely random and separate from one another, but let's get 4 layers in there and get them all animated. Now, you're going to need to know that down in the left-hand corner here, and it looks very similar to Photoshop, is the new layer button. So if I click a new layer, it's going to add it on right on top of the other one here. And these layers, they work exactly the same as the Photoshop layers. Whatever is the top layer will be the foremost or the foreground of your project, and whatever is the bottom layer will be the background. Okay, well, good luck. Thank you for joining us today, Red Hawk Media. We'll see you again.